What's up guys, Abhi here, and today we're going to talk about the iPhone 16 Pro Max specifically. And since I've been using this from the launch date, I have some pretty deep thoughts about it. So without any further delay, let's get right into it. So before I start talking about my experience with the phone, I would just like you guys to know that I have upgraded from the 12 Pro Max, and it has been a very massive upgrade. Even though you can see the form factor is pretty much similar even after 4 years, but the cameras are such a massive upgrade, and that was the one thing that I was looking forward to the most. So the 12 Pro Max have served me really well. The only problems I had with this was the storage was pretty much all full, and the battery life was just ridiculous. And I feel like 4 years was like a good lifespan for that phone, and I really genuinely needed an upgrade. So I decided to pull the plug and got the 16 Pro Max. I was a bit confused, either should I get the 16 Pro or the Pro Max, since they are pretty much identical and there are no camera differences this time around. So the only major difference is pretty much the screen size and the battery life, and everybody loves like extra battery life. I've always been a Pro Max person. I was using the 7 Plus, which is pretty much the variant of Pro Max at this point. So 7 Plus, then the 12 Pro Max, and now the 16 Pro Max. I've been absolutely loving larger phones since I have pretty huge hands. So this iPhone journey has been really great, but specifically this phone is not all flowers and petals. I'm gonna be nitpicking at this point, but this is the most flagship of the phones that Apple sells. So I guess it's fairly accurate to pinpoint the problems that I've been facing with this phone. So now, since it has been almost 4 months since the launch of this phone has been done, I guess all the hype is now dead, and pretty much what I feel truly about this phone is the reason I'm making this video. So before I jump into the experience with this phone, let's just get the specs out of the way. So this comes with Apple's latest chip, which is the A18 Pro, which has a 6-core CPU, 6-core GPU. So on the front, you have a 6.9-inch 120Hz ProMotion display, which was a huge upgrade coming from a 60Hz on the 12 Pro Max, and it feels ridiculously smooth. And before the Android fanboys come at me with the 144, 180Hz displays, I get it guys, I get it. I'm a PC gamer and I have used Androids. And one thing I noticed about the display is how freaking bright it gets outdoors. I had a hard time looking at my 12 Pro Max outdoors, but this is just amazing to look at, and you can pretty much look at it without any problems in direct sunlight, all thanks to the 2000 nits of peak brightness. And personally, the biggest upgrade for me has been this new camera setup, and overall it has been such a pleasure using this. I've been using this phone as like my primary camera, even though I have my Sony a7 III, but I don't carry that everywhere, but I have this phone all the time in my pocket, and this has been my primary camera for pretty much all the things that I do, except when I shoot video like professionally. But this was my camera choice even on my trip to Japan. It was just amazing. I clicked so many photos, took so many videos. The dynamic range on this like little sensor is just insane. I absolutely love how pictures turn out. And the best part about the photos is that once you throw them in Lightroom, throw a couple of presets or just do some minor adjustments, and the photos turn out absolutely gorgeous. So talking about the sensors, the main camera is a 48 megapixel fusion camera. So pretty much you get different focal lengths like 24mm, 28, 35 without the loss of quality. And even the ultra wide has been upgraded to a 48 megapixel. So I pretty much use that ultra wide for video and pretty much vlogging, and it serves really well with that 48 megapixel upgrade since you get extra quality out of it. And I'm gonna be pretty honest, the camera that I used the most was the 5x telephoto, which is still a 12 megapixel. Would have loved that to jump to 48 as well. But nonetheless, that is such a good focal length, 120mm, and I absolutely love getting those close-ups, especially as I mentioned on my Japan trip. I was in a bus and I couldn't get out, so pretty much all the shots that I took with the 5x turned out great, and I absolutely love that focal length. So Apple, please upgrade that telephoto sensor soon. And as I mentioned, for the video part, we also have now 4K 120fps, which is such a good addition for like montages or pretty much getting all the b-roll that you need. And you can slow it down to almost like 20%, which is ridiculous. It also shoots in log as its predecessor, but I pretty much don't use it at all, because if I have to shoot vlog, I pretty much carry my camera with me. Almost forgot to mention about the front cam. It is a 12 megapixel sensor and you can be the judge of the quality. It is pretty fairly lit here though. This pretty much gives you a good idea of how the camera looks. According to me, it gets the job done. So that was all about the cameras. With that out of the way, let's talk about this little boy right here, the camera control button. And I would say this is pretty much one of the most useless additions of this year. So I pretty much just use this to open my camera, and I have redirected my mind not to swipe. I now just press the camera control to open the camera. That's all. And I recently also figured out that there is a toggle in the settings for the camera control, so that even if your phone's locked, you can pretty much press it once and get into the camera as fast as possible. So the issue with the camera control, I would say, is that once you click it, it pretty much shakes your phone. So if you're using this to click photos, the photos generally turn out shaky, and it's much easier to just tap on the screen to do that. For example, like I'm holding this with one hand, and if I press this, I pretty much shake my phone a lot compared to like touching on the screen with the button. And with iOS 18, we also have now new styles that we can use to pretty much customize our photo. These are pretty much baked in filters, and I personally really like this rose gold one. You can use the camera control to zoom in, change the f-stop, and change a whole lot of settings in the camera itself, but I feel like it's much easier to do it on the screen. I would really like Apple to use this kind of technology into, I guess, the lock button. They can also have Touch ID built into it, and then we can use those haptics to pretty much change and use different actions, just like the action button, but built in to the lock button. One thing that blew me away was the battery life. And since I mentioned you guys that I was using that 12 Pro Max and it was absolutely dying on me, I had to charge that twice a day. So you have to just charge this once, and this pretty much lasts you whole day and maybe get into the second day a little bit as well. Apple claims to have 27 hours of video playback or 22 hours of streaming. And I would say I can pretty much get like 12-13 hours of like heavy usage on the phone and get like pretty much that screen on time. I also have disabled to charge till 80%. I generally charge my phone to 100 because I feel like after a while you still have to change your battery. So yeah, it's better to just use the whole capacity. That's just me. As you can see right here, it was last charged to 60% with a 5-hour, 4-minute screen on time. The one thing that I want to talk about before we jump into the problems that I've faced is Apple Intelligence. And as you can see, the new Siri animation is right there. I feel like it was a missed opportunity. They pretty much hyped it all up with this new generation of iPhones, that it is all built for AI. So yeah, Siri is a little bit more useful, I would say, but half the times whenever you ask it any sort of complicated question, it generally just asks to send it over to ChatGPT, and it pretty much gives you the answer that you need. But that extra additional step to send it to ChatGPT and that prompt, even though it's nice to get that privacy prompt, but I feel like it pretty much takes away the experience of having your personal assistant. And Siri is still not the greatest. So for example, if there's anything on my screen that I want to ask, Siri, where is this wallpaper from? So pretty much whenever you ask something that what's on screen, it just asks you to send a screenshot to ChatGPT. Show me my photos from my Japan trip. So as you saw, I asked it to show my photos, but then it pretty much popped up like random Google results. And that pretty much sums up Apple Intelligence. Even though one thing I would like to talk about is that image playground, which is really fun to use. And I came up with pretty much this character. So you can be the judge if it looks like me or not. But it is really fun to mess around in this and create those custom emojis. Sometimes they can be a little cursed. But yeah, that's Apple Intelligence for you. The only thing that Apple sold you this phone for, because this is made ground up for AI. So with everything out of the way, now let's talk about the problems that I've faced. So pretty much when, for example, I'm playing anything on Spotify and it has this sort of album art, when I go to home, it generally stutters, which it didn't on camera, obviously. So pretty much when I go to home and this widget goes to dynamic island, I pretty much see a bit of a stutter for the first time. And then when I try to recreate it, it pretty much doesn't. Talking about that, the dynamic island is pretty good and I absolutely love it. Don't tell anyone otherwise. And it's not just the Spotify app. I have seen random stutters, lags, hiccups throughout the UI. It's not that frequent, but it is there, and I just wanted to let you guys know that what I felt using this phone for the past 4 months. It also has hanged and respringed on me a few times, which I didn't expect from the top of the line of Apple's lineup. So yeah, that's something. So another problem that I faced is technically when I was using Spotify. So pretty much when I am playing any sort of music or any sort of media and I lock my phone and put it inside my pocket, sometimes it just registers some sort of ghost touch and pretty much skips the song or just plays it from the beginning, which is really frustrating. I don't know why that happens, and it is not like it's my fault because I've been using phones since forever and it has never happened to me on any other phone, and I'm pretty certain that I locked my phone. So there's that. And one thing that really frustrates me also is sometimes when there is like not proper lighting, it automatically switches to like the macro mode or like vice versa. I know you can disable it, but there's that one thing that I also wanted to highlight while talking about this. Because at this point, Apple is so far into the game, I feel like everything should just get perfect, even though that's not how things work. But that's what the user expects when they pay a fortune to Apple. And talking about fortune, I got this in the 512GB version, natural titanium, which I feel like is the best color amongst all. I know desert titanium is all the hype, but I feel like this is the way to go. Before I end this video, I forgot to mention one more thing, that now this supports up to 25 watts of wireless charging if you're using an adapter of 30 watts or higher, which is a very good addition since I always pretty much charge my phone wireless on this dock you see behind me, and I really just plug it in with the USB-C. So yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope you guys found this helpful and it was not all flowers and petals that what Apple fanboys generally make the phones look to be. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, let me know in the comment section down below. Also let me know what you think about this iPhone 16 lineup. Is it worth upgrading to? I would suggest if you are using like even a 14 or a 15, just stick to it, don't upgrade yet. And even the people that are using older gen, you can save extra couple of $100 if you just get the 15 Pro, and you pretty much get 95% of what you are getting in this phone, except that camera control button, which is not really that useful anyways. And with that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care and peace.